What's up, y'all? Episode number 89. We doing it, baby. Business news, other shit. Thank y'all for listening in. We had a couple guys on today besides our bad boy, John Dolder. Quinton James and Dan Baker, comedian, fellow improv teammate. Quinton James, this dude, grew up in the wild hundreds. And if you're not from Chicago, let me tell you, the wild hundreds, pretty wild. So this dude is kind of a wonderful story of coming up from difficult background, from where he grew up. And now runs his own organization called True Mentors. This dude believes and explained how your network is your net worth for real. So he sets up mentors with mentees. Really cool story, Quinton James. Don't forget also, we taped from the stock room of Cedars, the restaurant I own. Come check us out, y'all. Valentine's Day's coming up. Thursday, Friday, we're going to have our new menu. You got to check us out on Valentine's Day. Bring your Valentine. And then the weekend, for All-Star Weekend for Hoops, we have the All-Star Game in Chicago coming up next week. We're going to do a Kobe Day here on Saturday and Sunday. Kobe Bryant and Gigi Bryant. May God rest their souls. Free dessert for your table. Roll through, wear your Kobe jersey or Kobe gear, and you get free dessert for your table. Quinton James dropped some serious bombs on us. He distinguished between stress versus pressure. It was super interesting in how stress is really driven by a negative mindset, while pressure is actually a good thing, and you can use a positive mindset to really benefit from pressure. That was cool. You make sure you tune in and listen to that. And then the dude just kept dropping cool things, like he was saying, Gators gonna be haters. Don't know what that means. Had something to do with cowboy boots that his grandpa used to sell. Innovation is differentiation. Never heard that before. And then isolation is decimation. The dude's a poet, guys. Sit back, relax, tune in, enjoy the episode. Peace. Quinton James.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Business News and Other Shit.
I appreciate it. You know, it's funny. When I got the opportunity to be on this amazing podcast.
Look at you, amazing. Thank you. We're in the back of a freaking restaurant right now. Amazing.
It is.
Hot sauce behind your head.
I mean, if you think about it, I'm 100. I don't know too many people. That's what you call persistency at its best, man, and consistency.
Thank you, my
at
man.
its best, you know?
Oh, man, you give me props.
But I was invited by one of the mentees within True Mentors, and he told me a lot of amazing stuff, but he did not tell me the title.
Oh, for real? He didn't?
He never told
so you were
me the
just
title.
Surprised.
I was like, yeah, anybody, so I'm excited though. Appreciate
Thank you,
the
man.
Opportunity.
I gotta let you all in on a little secret. I'm feeling stress and pressure today. I'm taping this, and then we're like cleaning up this kitchen because we have the Hyde Park Chamber of Commerce coming today.
Oh.
And because we can't host them in the dining room because it'll be busy in the dining room with customers, it's gonna be like 50 or 100 people. I'm like, yo, why don't we do it upstairs in our commercial kitchen? And they love the idea. Like, what? We can kind of come in your kitchen and your chef will cook for us and all that. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. He's going to do hors d'oeuvres and things like that. But like, they're going to want, like, I'm kind of like hosting it. Like Amr is, a lot of it was driven by me. And so I got that in my mind. I got this in my mind. And I'm trying to like relaunch the business. It's been a really stressful month. So I feel like a lot kind of like vibrating inside me.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, right? I feel like I told you earlier, I'm drinking out of a fire hose. And I got to tell you, with the fear that I feel, I kind of feel a little bit of a thrill. You know what I'm saying? Like
exciting times.
Right? It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's adventurous. I could completely fall flat on my face. You know how I feel like? I feel like Elon Musk a little bit right now.
There you go. That's exactly. I mean, I was really stressed out. I have this 1 o'clock appointment. I'm going to the gym at 4, and I wasn't sure it was Wednesday. No, it's Thursday. Today's Thursday.
You were correct by being not sure about Wednesday.
Yeah. So
you're accurate.
This is a rough day.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I hope you make it through.
Yeah.
Well, just like Elon, your stocks also will surge, Amir, my friend.
Quinton, man, this guy, your story is amazing. We were talking yesterday.
Yeah.
Yo, Dan, you're from Indiana, so you probably never heard of the wild hundreds.
No.
How about Roseland?
No. I'm sorry, what? Rosa?
Roseland. Yeah.
Yo, these are parts of Chicago that the city basically ignores.
Yeah.
Completely does not give a shit about.
Got it.
And so Quinton was born and raised in that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
Quinton?
I'm as a lot of people will say, I'm a rose from Roseland, 114th in Indiana. So
A rose from Roseland.
Yes,
there you
sir.
go, baby.
Yes,
That's beautiful.
sir.
Yo, you heard of Inglewood, you heard of these areas, right?
Sure. Yeah.
No one talks about Roseland. I mean, how would you characterize Roseland compared to like Englewood or some of these other areas?
1 and 2. You know, it just really depends on the day, to be honest with you. So, Chicago is not all bad, but what the media does, they just go ahead and publicize the parts that are, and those are relatively some of the most interesting ones, right? Food deserts, etc. But it's coming about, so it's pretty cool.
One of my friends, his uncle, in fact, his dad, I think, owned a liquor store in that neighborhood, which for me as a Muslim, I don't drink, I don't support people owning liquor stores. My friend was Muslim and they owned it, and I disagreed with them. But they got to do what they got to do, But the fact that, like, I remember going there and learning and understanding when I was a kid, like, what's going on here, liquor stores, and why is that, like, the prominent thing in these neighborhoods? I was trying to understand, why are we Arabs and Muslims, like, the ones who are doing it? It's like antithesis to what we believe in, supposedly. And, it made me so sad in my heart that was the reality, that these people are trying to profit off these people, and the powers that be seem to not give a shit about either of those people. You know what I'm saying? They all just gotta, like, clamor for whatever they can get. And so there's an underbelly of this economy and of this world that's just ugly to me, man.
Yeah.
And so a sad story.
Right.
My friend's uncle was robbed in that store. He was running the store one day and he was robbed, and he got shot. Yeah. So, and we thought he was gonna die. This was like 7th grade. And he didn't. He lived, but he definitely wasn't the same afterwards. And all of that just made me, like, change the course of my life, because a lot of Arabs and Muslims, that's the route they go. They get a small business in these difficult communities, and it's not like they're trying to bring community help in those small businesses. They're doing the opposite typically, and I was just like, fuck that. That is not the route I want to go. And
well, at least they don't drink the inventory. So,
how do you know?
I mean, like, I might want to open, like, a women's dress shop, and
wear it.
Yeah.
Try shit on.
Yeah. Well,
you do it anyway. What would you need the store for?
That's a good point. I just do it at home. My wife's stuff. She doesn't know that.
I hope she's listening to this right now.
She will. Not right now, but in the future.
Yeah, when it goes to release.
Yeah.
I'll email her myself.
That'd be great.
You're right. At least not drinking the inventory.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so my point is, like, that little story I gave you there is kind of a Roseland story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, to meet you and to talk to you, for me, it's like, wow, that's a big deal for a guy like me.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It says a lot about what you've thought about your life and the choices you've made. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, it's kind of a undertaking, man. I mean, I grew up in a single parent home. I didn't have a dad. My grandfather was like my father. Like I was telling Amir yesterday, he sold cowboy boots on the south side of Chicago. So Dan, I tell people all the time, I had gators for the haters, right? And he was real successful. He did what he did. He did what he had to do. He had to provide. But like we was talking about earlier too, because most entrepreneurs, because of the way that they generate income, they may make a lot of money, but they don't have a lot of time, right? So, but the one thing that they instilled into me is the mindset that I've even implemented into the company or the organization that I'm a founding partner,
which is called
True Mentors.
Mentors.
And we'll get to them in a minute. Yep. But observe the masses and do the opposite. And that's really what I did even at a young age. I saw what everyone else was doing, and I just did something different. And that's kind of what got me to the point where I decided to go to college, and I was the first male from my family to go to college, and got into banking, and through my time in college, found out what a lot of my niche was, which is I did parties, right? So I promoted parties.
You're a party promoter?
4 days a week, bro. And at the time, I was drinking the supply, right? But I had a methodical.
That sounds like a perk of the job.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But I had a methodical way on how I did parties. I was one of the top entertainment guys in that area. And
where's this at? In
so
college?
in Tallahassee, yeah, Florida A&M
Florida.
University. Yep. So I'm a Florida State Seminole fan just because they were down the street from us.
Wait, I gotta get racial here for a second. Two things. Number one,
Yeah.
are cowboy boots that your grandfather was selling a popular thing in the African American community? I can't picture.
So it is more Western apparel, absolutely. It
For real?
definitely. And I would say more so for those who are a lot more mature in age because they call stepping. So if you think about You know, like you've heard of, R. Kelly, like the step, side to side, that type of like dancing.
I'm
that
trying to
they
avoid
do.
all sorts of side to side with R. Kelly.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
No, I'm
All
just kidding.
right,
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so
I
it's
hear a lot of his music, but is it a dance move?
So it's like a stepper set type of music. So a lot of steppers, what they do is they'll go ahead and utilize cowboy boots. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, one thing is most people don't know cowboy boots or Western apparel, right? It's
Western
the most
apparel.
comfortable shoe that you can ever wear.
They look so
I don't buy
uncomfortable.
really.
Yeah, the reason being is because it's really extremely surface level. If you think about the shoes that you have on now, once you break them in, it's no longer surface level. So that's why you think about how many people have back problems and stuff. It's because of the way their shoes are. But cowboy boots are extremely surface level, and the skin never tell because they're exotic skins.
Oh,
so it wasn't just leather. He was using skin, alligator, anteaters, etc. Right. So
what was the second one? Alligators and what?
Anteaters.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, stingrays, it was all of that other stuff. Yeah, you could use anything, and they're expensive.
Hey, John Dolder, how many cowboy boots do you own?
Like 3 or 4 pairs.
Do you really?
Yeah, I have one in like a Jaguar and
Get the F out of here.
So
Anteater.
you knew what I was talking about. So
I
we're brothers from another mother right
There you
now.
go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I smelled it on you, John. I was like, wait a minute. I think this dude from the
it's just,
parts of Ohio that you're from, I was like, maybe this guy's got some
inner
cowboy
city
boots.
urban areas in rural Ohio.
Are they in the trunk of your car, or do you keep them at home?
Always in the trunk of my car. I keep a pair underneath my seat just in case.
He actually has one right now.
Yeah.
You got them on right now. Hey, are they comfortable, John? Be honest.
Oh yeah, so comfortable.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you wear them in Chicago?
Well, people don't even know that people got on cowboy boots a lot of times, because they like regular shoes.
Yeah, pull your pants down over and whatever, right?
I guess so.
You know,
but they're pretty pointy.
Look, I'm from South Bend, Indiana, so it's not really a farm community, right? And I had my country phase when Garth Brooks got popular. So I was like 7th grade.
Yep.
He's popular. And I got into country music, and I tried to do even the cowboy hat thing.
Yeah.
So I remember going to this concert. I'm not even going to mention who it was, but I was going to this concert.
Come on now, this is what the podcast is about.
All right. So Joe Diffie, who was popular at the time,
Means nothing to me.
no, means nothing to
Nothing to
anyone
me
that's
either.
listening to this
Yeah.
podcast. But he wrote a popular song called John Deere Green, just so you know. So it's all
I
about,
got you.
Anyway, so
It's okay.
going to this, and it was close to my birthday, so my parents bought me a hat, but it was like a Stetson. I was like, I don't know. It just seemed too cowboy. So I ended up with this like sort of moderate, more Crocodile Dundee looking hat. And I wore it to that concert only ever. And never wore it again. And I was like, always like, maybe I do want the boots. But even in Indiana, like the farm communities that are near South Bend, it's really just Wolverines and things like that for, shoveling pig shit and whatever else they do. And, planting corn, I'm sure they're just in there with their, depending their age, Skechers or Adidas or whatever,
Not cowboy boots.
No, not at all.
If I was gonna, was it?
Cowboy boots are for a special occasion.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that true, Quinton? Yeah, your grandfather wouldn't say that.
Yo, he wears them all the time. He's an entrepreneur,
He's got to wear his gear.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
Especially slipping into the saddle.
This is what I believe.
Stirrups.
You would be the most amazing Muslim who wore cowboy boots if you had some on. Not
For
that you're
real.
not amazing already.
Thank you, brother.
But you definitely would be the only one that
Give me
I
your
know.
grandfather's number. I'm about to buy me a pair.
Absolutely.
I'm for
Let's
real.
do it.
I might get like.
See, that's
that
what you
sounds-
call promotion, right?
Get some
There
of
you
the
go.
sloth ones.
It would suit my personality perfectly. All right, the second racial thing, Tallahassee, Florida.
Tallahassee,
Is it
Florida.
me or am I way off on this? That is like, Trump country, very proud of their whiteness. I could be way off on this.
You are way off.
Okay, thank you.
No, sure. Yeah, no, you're way off. I mean, it's the capital of Florida. So
Right,
yeah.
but I feel like anything outside of Miami and Tampa and that thing is like more like Chris is from Florida, and
Chris is-
he's the one who taught me this.
Yeah.
Hasn't he said that before, John?
He's from Florida?
He's he went down to Florida. I don't know.
Oh,
if he's
okay.
from-
No, he is from
He
Florida.
was in Orlando.
And he worked in NASA for a while.
Right. I
Um,
don't think he's from Florida.
but he's the one always telling me like, "Yo, be careful, brown people going down to the backwoods of Florida." And I'm like, "What's the backwoods?" He's like, "Basically anything outside Miami." I'm like, "What?"
Man, those alligators, racist.
So okay, so tell me,
Well, first of all,
You know something about this?
You've done that trick of Googling Florida man and just finding out what the news story of the day is and how dumb they are. Like
yes, I have. Yes.
Florida man, 76, gets pulled over for driving drunk on his tractor.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I mean, you can do it every day, and there's something
new about Florida. Yes.
And it is sort of the surprising member of the South when it was always like the dream vacation of us Midwesterners to go down to Disney, to go down to any of those beaches.
It was new to me as an adult to learn about.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, we're going on vacation to Florida, but there is this aspect of them being a little bit backwater more so than some states in some ways. But at least that's what's been talked about more. And I think it's more partisan politics of people just being pissed off at Florida going the wrong way.
I think that's right.
Or right way, depending on who you are.
Exactly, yeah. We got some probably Trump supporters listening here.
Yeah.
So, okay, correct me. You live there. Tell us. Teach us. 4
or 5 years. Yeah,
4 or 5 years. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, so Tallahassee was probably a little bit more blue than red.
Okay.
Just because of the climate of the individuals I was there. But also, at the time, that's when I was there, too. That was back in 2003 to 2007, right? Now Florida to me is awesome just because there's no taxes compared to Chicago here that has taxes on everything. So it's a smart move for a business owner, to be honest with you. But I've never, me personally, not saying that they don't have that, I've never had any racist situations and stuff like that.
So it's great for a small business guy because maybe I should move. Should I open a Middle Eastern restaurant in a very red county?
Think about how much money you keep.
Right.
I mean, how much state tax do you got to pay for right now as a business owner in Chicago, right?
Killer.
12% of, that's just one specific, you know what I mean? Whereas in Florida has no tax at all, except, Florida has no tax, Texas has no tax.
All right, so I think I covered all my racial things with you. So, got it on the cowboy boots, way more popular in the African American community than I realized.
There we go.
And then Tallahassee is blue. Just don't drive outside Tallahassee.
I guess so, if you don't want to.
It was the only place and only state I've ever almost hit a cow.
Oh, for real?
Dairy cow just ran across the street like a deer. And, oh, man, I was totally freaked out. I mean, that's never happened to me.
Highway or was kind of slow road?
A state road, going 55. And the cow just, like a deer, ran across and it just would look confused.
Cows run?
That's what I said. Right? And it was running like a deer.
That's bizarre.
Must have found freedom and was just like...
got too excited.
Or someone was trying to grab his nipples.
I'm being chased by a Florida man. Some Florida man.
All right, so
anyway, sorry.
So okay, so
that's funny.
So okay, so your story is interesting. So you went into the banking world for a while.
Yeah. So right after college, I actually went into banking. Became a recruiter for Bank of America, and grew extremely well in that arena, which was pretty awesome. To be honest with you, it was great. But I think like any of us know who has that grit in you to be more successful, you're only going to get paid what you're worth, not necessarily. You're going to get paid what the job is worth. You're not going to get paid what you're worth, right?
I like that word. Grit.
And then when you're young, and 21 years old, when you want to be more successful, especially where I'm from, you always heard, well, if you want to be more successful, just work harder. And when you're young, all you know is putting in more hours, like we were talking about earlier, Dan. So you're putting in 60, 65 hours a week, and you just get to a specific stagnation piece.
Yep.
Did it for 5-6 years, and feel like I had my midlife crisis at 26.
Oh, man, mine was at 30.
Oh, yeah. Okay. How old are you now?
39.
Okay.
Actually, I think I'm still in the crisis.
Yeah. Hey, well, you know what? It's better to have a crisis decade than a crisis life. So
that's right.
John,
how old are you again?
23.
How's your crisis
you
going?
are so young.
I had my crisis at 16. So
oh, really?
yeah, it's been about 8 years.
I hope you're out of it.
We'll see.
They're cyclical.
Exactly, they
back,
are.
Yeah.
So, Dan, we're closer to my age, right?
Yeah.
Dan, that does not give me any confidence. So
Dan's 34.
Yeah, right.
There you go. Dan is an advertising executive.
Sure. Yeah,
right?
That's it.
Wouldn't that be accurate?
Yeah.
You've worked at corporations, and I presumably you work with clients and run their product launches, advertising launches, that kind of thing, right?
That's it. Yeah. Been almost 20 years. So been in ad agency world for 20 years. Various agencies in Chicago that mainly have New York roots and headquartered, such as, this may not mean anything to anybody, but like DDB, Ogilvy and Mather, just to name a couple. And so I really grew up in digital when digital was starting to become a thing.
Right.
So in my career, it's been sort of easy to find jobs because digital was so scary to a lot of people. But it turned out to be just banner ads, and it's always been about content. It's content.
Yep.
But when I first started, I was like, yes, but how do we really monetize this content? Well, we've certainly figured it out. It's like everything else. It's advertising. It's ad sales. It's getting paid to build the websites. It's
eyeballs, impressions, all the same shit.
Yes, and so things have just changed because I find it really odd that they still have digital shops, and digital shops are likely maybe still producing digital ads, but it's really getting around building things that are like the Internet of Things, products and services that are more technical and digital now, but are really solutions that might be more promotional or PR or event or even something people use day to day. So my old company, RGA, started working with Nike. They actually helped them build the Nike Plus chip, right? And that moved into the Nike Plus. What was that called? The Fit, not the Fit.
It was like the Fitbit?
Yeah, the Nike band that they had.
I forgot the name of it.
And then they just moved and built it on the platform because with GPS, you can do everything from there. So that's branding, because they moved Nike from a shoe company to a fitness company, right? So you're now you're moving into products and services that build the quality of your life. So that's really what I've been starting to do and do more of. Rather than managing. I mean, I do a lot of like deep in social media, doing social campaigns for clients of mine. But
it's not like the old days where like, all right, let's get Charmin out there with their new toilet paper. Like that it's becoming more like, how can Charmin impact people's lifestyles in a way where we can now pitch that on social media?
I mean,
is that the difference?
Yes, but that's still a big part of the world is that branding, and still you got the Charmin bears, and they're still out there, and you see them everywhere. But then it's like, where are you going to experience the Charmin bears that aren't just television? Now are we doing small bit content that's on all digital platforms and whatever? And to where am I seeing it in the world where I didn't expect to see the Charmin bears? That sort of thing. So it's changed a lot from that point of view. That it's just more about content and how to get the content out there from that point of view. And certainly, somebody is peeking in the front of my mind. That's like. More moving into the tech, like some companies are moving in to be considered a technology-based company, and not or providing tech solutions rather than selling the product and services they have before.
WeWork is the best example of that. WeWork is a real estate company that just rents property and then re-rents it out to individual office people.
Mm-hmm.
But to them, they're a San Francisco, Silicon Valley tech company with, their CEO guru, whatever, who has been fired, obviously, and he's a schmo, in my opinion. But, like, everyone's just trying to be a tech company. A lot of these companies who make, like, shorts, have you guys heard of Chubbies? They're kind of a lifestyle brand. They're just selling shorts. But really, they're selling party. Their social media is more about party, lifestyle, community.
Gotcha.
And so they're like, we're more of a tech company than we are a shorts company. And I'm like, you're still a shorts company, But why I wanted to talk to you is because you're in an interesting time in your life that I'd like for you to share. You've been doing it for 20 years. You are currently in between jobs.
That's right.
And it feels like you're like reflecting of like what's my next move? What's my next step here? I may need to make a shift. And I feel like with the organization that you run, True Mentors, right? I'd be curious to hear what you think. How someone like Dan in the current moment in his life might benefit from True Mentors. I've been thinking about that since yesterday. I was like, Dan's going to be on, Quinton's going to be on. Wow, there's an interesting dynamic going on here with where you are in your life and where you are. So first, tell us like what is True Mentors? How did you come up with True Mentors?
Yeah, real simple. True Mentors actually, if I could give a quick backstory, the way True Mentors actually got founded. I was at an opportunity just kind of like you, honestly, Dan, where I was trying to figure out exactly how to get a little bit more progressive. And at the time, it was in my career, and I had the opportunity to connect with a successful entrepreneur, man. And he's still like a father to me, honestly. But his name is Gary Rabine. He had the passion to pave driveways. Now he paves the most parking lots across the United States. So,
he had a passion to pave driveways?
Yeah. So at 18 years old, he went ahead and never went to college. And he just, was like, look, I'm just going to pave driveways. And now, like I said, he does all the dirty businesses that most people don't want to do. But because of that, that's his innovation, his differentiation. He became real successful in it. But anyway, me and him was at a non-for-profit. I was speaking on professional development and had the opportunity to connect with him, build a relationship with him. He mentored me for literally a year and a half, and I really saw what mentorship really looked like. It looked like shared experiences. It looked like coaching. Like there's a difference between mentorship and coaching, right? And I can get to that if we want. But to make a long story short,
Well, I mean, tell us what was your experience with him mentoring you?
yeah. So the one thing, shared experiences is someone just giving you their experience of how it looks. You know, if you want a coach is going to tell you what to do. If you're an entrepreneur, you don't want to be told what to do. But you can always lean light. You can always figure out specifics about a person, about how to implement what you need based off of someone else's story, right? And they can always give you perspective. And that's really what you look for. In amongst other things. But then he said, hey, listen, I wanted to start a platform that gives startup entrepreneurs and seasoned entrepreneurs the opportunity to connect with business leaders they normally would not have access to. And that's how True Mentor started 5 years ago. And now,
So he pitched the idea to you.
Yeah, well,
and you're like, this sounds kind of cool.
And he bought me out of my job. And
for
that's
real?
what I've been doing 5 years. Yeah.
Oh, for
absolutely.
real?
Yeah. So he did that in
That's
2014.
cool.
So it's been an amazing run. A lot of amazing people. And we have a philosophy as far as mentorship, and it's been going extremely well.
All right, so wait. First of all, how does he mentor you, which makes it not coaching? Is it really sharing a story, and then from that story you glean a whole bunch of stuff that's hard to really communicate?
So there's a lot of things about mentorship. I could probably speak on it for like 3-4 days, but the whole embodiment of it. Think about what a coach does. What is a coach? Did you play any sports?
Football. I can picture my Coach Rodriguez right now
So what is
yelling
he
at me,
doing?
grabbing my
Yelling at you,
helmet,
grabbing
spitting
your
in my
helmet,
face,
spitting in
all
your
that
face,
shit.
all that other stuff.
I don't know what he did all that shit
and
for.
he's making you great at the specific job that you're supposed to do.
That's right.
Right?
Tight end, baby.
And at
ways
the
than
same
one.
time, too, he's doing all of that for you to execute in whatever he needs you to do. Right? That's not a mentor. That's not a mentor. A mentor is actually giving you the perspective, shared experiences. That's one way of doing it, but more so of accountability, a partner, if you will, in order for you to get to whatever you want to do, not whatever he needs you to do, right? So that's where the big difference is. Now you have like life coaches, right? Life coaches are there to coach you in whatever you say you're trying to accomplish. So they're going to give you tasks for you to go ahead and implement for the things that you say you want, but you have to do that. A mentor is giving you perspective, shared experiences, wisdom, right? And that's a big difference. You know what I mean? So, a coach is a coach and you need it, yes, but a mentor is a mentor and that's something different. Most things, the issue with a lot of people is a lot of people don't know the difference.
Well, and that you bring something up, and I think you might have said it around accountability of mentors. Like, we have a lot of people have mentors, people they look up to, whether it's their demeanor in a conference room, whether, how they speak to clients, how they're talking to their peers and to folks that work for them. And you take a lot away from that. And a lot of times mentors don't know they're their mentors mentoring this person until, hey, did you know you've really been a mentor to me? They're like, oh, well, then I think they become accountable once they know that because they feel like, oh, they've been actually looking up to me.
Who becomes accountable? The mentor becomes accountable to the mentee?
I think once they know that, I think there are people that are leaders that know that people are looking at them and their experience, but their demeanor and who they are.
Well, they realize they have a responsibility. But when in a mentorship, as to be frank with you, they're both accountable to each other. But the aggressor is always the mentee. It's not the mentor.
Right. It's got to be. That's what I was thinking. Like, I heard you say accountability from the mentor to the mentee, but I'm thinking like, if the mentee doesn't rattle the cage of the mentor is probably not gonna pay too much attention. Like they're not gonna go out their way to be like, let me go mentor Dan Baker or Amr. I don't.
Well, you got to understand the importance of like, what does a mentor have that you don't? A mentor probably has a network that you like. A lot of the CEOs that I know is because of Gary. You know what I mean? A lot of the things that you don't have, you get because a mentor gives it to you. Whereas a mentee, what does a mentee give a mentor? They give them life. They give them a newfound way of looking at things. They give them a different perspective as well. Sometimes the mentee is the mentor when it comes to newfound youth and way things are structured, right?
That's true.
So it's just like it's a hope, but again, it's not you telling someone what to do. I mean, that's the whole founding part of it. And like you said, some people don't even know that they're mentors. It's because you idolize them, and it's a great thing. And sometimes, but those are those people like, I don't know, LeBron is probably a mentor to others because of the way he's carried himself from 18 years old to even now. but also he knows that because there's people who look at him, he has to present himself in
Yeah.
a specific way because there's a quality image about themselves about that. So, anyway, so we can get down to reads.
Okay, so Dan's at this crossroads, right?
Right.
Even I'm looking at myself now, man. As you talk more, I'm like, shared perspectives. Damn, I could use some of that. Wisdom. Yeah, let me get some wisdom.
Right.
Network. Yeah, I'd love a bigger network. I mean,
Yeah.
I work hard on my network, but I mean that doesn't mean it has to stop. I
Right.
think I'm always looking for new people to network with.
Yeah.
So like, all right, so me or Dan. So here I am in a weird place in my life, trying to carve out some sort of livelihood in entertainment. I do a lot of stage stuff.
Yeah.
I do the podcast.
Right.
I do improv. I
Yeah.
do. I own this restaurant now. It's kind of the
Congrats.
entertainment business, you
Yeah.
know. What was that?
Say congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's a big congratulations. Fucking, it's kicking my ass.
That's good.
So like, I look at it. I'm like, is there a mentor for all that shit? Impossible. It doesn't even cross my mind. Dan, I feel like it's like, and I'm probably wrong about that, by the way. Dan, I feel like though, here you are. It feels a little bit more. People have been in his shoes before, you know, and so it might be find a mentor, benefit from that. So like for me or for Dan, like let's start with Dan. So like, would he benefit from having a mentor or true mentors or yeah, especially like the organization, because it's weird.
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys are like formalizing mentee and mentorship.
So, True Mentors is the target market for True Mentors is startup entrepreneurs and seasoned entrepreneurs. So unless you have a business, and then it'd be like, you know, for Dan theoretically where he's at, but to be
I'm
transparent,
opening a restaurant. It's next door.
As long as it's an LLC and it's in business and it's moving, then we can talk, right?
Yeah.
But a mentor is in all stages, though. You know, like, you know, he's 34, right? But but at the same time, too, I guarantee you, there's people who have been in his shoes that are also further along. You know, but the one thing I always try to stress to people is, you know, isolation gives decimation. You know what I mean? Like when you isolate yourself. Because a lot of people do that. They're like, well, I'm trying to figure it out on my own. So you need a support system. And a support system is really what helps you out in so many things. And people forget that a support system is in all things. If you look at it was funny, one person was coming at me one time, was like, man, you rely so much on your mentors. You rely so much on just the people you know. You rely so much on your network. And I was looking at it, I was like, okay, so, and you're trying to make fun of that, but if I was in a wheelchair, would you make fun of a person in a wheelchair? And he was like, well, not absolutely. He rely so much on the wheelchair to get where he needs to go? Like if I had a crutch, right? If I had crutches because I broke my foot, would you make fun of me because I'm on a crutch? He was like, no. Well, they're my crutch. They're my wheelchair. And it's okay to have that. And it's just, and I think a lot of people
It doesn't make you weak.
No, it makes you stronger.
I think that's right.
You know what I mean? It makes you smarter, actually. The dumbest person is the person who thinks he knows everything.
Isolation is decimation.
Yeah.
Gators are haters. Innovation is differentiation.
Yeah,
you
that's
bringing
true.
it today, Quinn.
Yeah, so
I can't wait to hear the next one.
So anyway, but now as for you, there's definitely opportunity for you because you have a business.
Yeah, but you heard this wacky shit I'm doing, right? I'm trying to bring it all together. I don't know what I'm doing. I literally have no idea what I'm doing.
That's
guys.
where you should start. You gotta, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
Quentin is a 5-month-old, so congratulations.
Yeah,
So we
thank
talked about
you.
that.
Congrats, man.
And one day he's gonna have grandchildren or great grandchildren that are like, granddad always said, and there's gonna be these sayings and multitudes of them. My son and my grandchildren are gonna be like, Dad said, get off the couch. Because I have none of those.
Dad's still saying he's 34.
Yeah, right.
He is 34.
Yeah.
That's good.
So,
I like how you reverse the numbers.
You're young to me, man. You always gotta stay blessed enough. And earlier you said you're stressed out. I don't think it's stress, man. I think it's pressure because pressure makes diamonds, bro. So
Oh, is that different?
yeah,
Stress and
that's-
pressure?
Stress and pressure. Stress is not from God. Pressure is. You're pressured right now, and that's not a bad thing.
You think so? Wait, are you being real right now?
Yeah.
Why do you
that's
believe
why I
that?
always say blessed and never stress in everything I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go on, because stress is from the adversary. Stress is a negative thing. Come in.
What's up, Juan? Come on in. It's okay. Peppers, grab the peppers. You good? So stress is
Stress and pressure is not the same thing. You know what I mean? Because you got to understand, what does stress do? Stress, think about everybody who is stressed. What happens to them when they're stressed out?
Hair
right?
falls out.
All types of stuff, right?
Health conditions.
Right? But also they don't look at things from a positive mental attitude perspective either. They look at things from a negative perspective. But when you're pressured, you bring it on. You're ready for the challenge. You're ready because you know that makes you better. You know, so to me, but that's what happens with what diamonds. How is diamonds made? It's cold.
Can you turn on the makeup air for some heat, please? The makeup air for heat, please.
Yeah.
So pressure comes from God, and what it does is it make diamonds, and you're bringing a positive mental attitude to the pressure, and so it actually transforms you. Stress, on the other hand, is almost like self-inflicted.
Correct.
I'm going with a negative mental attitude. I'm creating the stress with these life situations.
Yep. You got to kind of just take a step back.
Yo, that distinction is powerful. That helps me a lot. Like, take a breath and be like, oh, I guess I'm not falling. Because on my head, I'm like, I'm stressed. I'm gonna fall apart. My hair is gonna fall out. It already is. And my kids are gonna hate me. My wife's gonna hate me. They already do. And all sorts of other shit is gonna, the world's gonna tumble.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, actually, man, you're under some pressure, and it seems like you kind of got it in a little bit of a headlock, or at least trying.
Yep. You got to figure it out.
That's probably like, you think about Elon Musk, right? Like I admire Elon. I've been a big Elon supporter on this podcast. I've been saying buy his stock.
We see that.
Yeah.
I keep bringing him up. I mean, I always say this on the podcast. Who the fuck else is trying to go to Mars? Right? There's NASA. They're trying. But this dude on his own seems like he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? Who else has actually said, let's fix the environment and put battery cars out there? Like, that transforms wars. Saudi Arabia, all this drama, Iran. Like, he's fixing a lot of that shit over the next 50 years. No. So I admire the man. And I look at him, I'm like, I'd love to be like Elon, but that scares the shit. Like, can you imagine if you were Elon? Like, I feel like the world's on your shoulders or something like that. But I'm starting to wonder if he looks at things very differently than how I look at things. Maybe more from a stress versus pressure distinction.
Well, he's also not, he can't be doing it alone. I mean, at the same point, he's surrounded by his own network and his own crutches.
That's true. If he was trying to, isolation would be decimation.
And he is out there, I'm sure, taking all the accolades, but there's probably a big network of people that are just like, I mean, obviously he can't launch. I'm sure he doesn't know the engineering to launch a rocket into space.
Here's the thing: you need a visionary, and that's what he is. There's a difference. And a lot of people don't know there's a difference. And this is from the 5 years of me. I'm an observer, so there's I'm realizing about a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs are visionaries, but they're not good leaders. Yeah. Two totally different things. Yep. And because a leader knows how to execute. Some people, now visionary, they can paint the vision, but they can't execute it right? So I'm not saying he's neither, maybe, or he's both, but what you just said is accurate. So he has a lot of people around him who can execute what he needs to be done because he's a entrepreneur. He's a visionary.
And we know in this country, in this world, that there's a fine line between visionary and quack. And I'm not saying for real, but some people.
Kanye West.
There you go.
I don't depends on how you look at him.
No, for real. Come on, guys. He is a legit Madonna level
performer
type of musical artist.
Sure.
Am I wrong?
Well, I haven't compared the two, but sure.
Something like
popular
that.
Out there.
No, but his music. Do you like his music?
No.
Zero.
Not even Chick-fil-A on Sunday. That's good.
I mean, it's okay. Yeah,
College Dropout.
No.
College Dropout. Yeah, I mean, okay, that's fair. That said, how I believe. Okay, wait. So anyway,
but that
go back to the point of visionary.
Correct.
Taste.
Was
it? I don't like
Life
the Beatles.
of Pablo was all right.
I said it.
Yeah.
So I don't like the Beatles. I'm more of a Monkees fan. The Monkees were put together as just actors to make good on the Beatles and how popular they were. It's not that I don't like the Beatles. I appreciate what they did. I appreciate what Conde, the talent of these musicians.
Correct.
But I have preferences.
Yeah.
And
that's
subjectivity.
But your point is visionaries and quacks basically walk a thin line together.
Yeah.
They're like riding a unicycle right down that line, and you tip either way off that unicycle. You're a quack or you're a visionary. I think that's true. I agree with that.
Right.
And the distinction of visionary versus leader. Well, let's go back. So, like you're saying, Elon's not doing it all alone. I guess like there's a certain cojones. You know what I mean? Like he's got some balls. Like part of his story. He started PayPal, right, and made several $100 million from PayPal. His story is this: he's got 5 kids. He said, "I put all my money." He's like, "I figured I'm gonna roll the dice. I put all my money into Tesla, probably, I'm guessing, $500 million. And he's like, and I asked my brother to provide for my family what their life needs are, you know? I'm like, get the F out of here that this dude did that. You know what I mean? It is crazy, isn't it?
What did I tell you earlier? What did I tell you when you talk about trades?
What?
The mindset, the mindset of most people that's doing trades, which is doing
Oh,
high risk, high
reward.
reward.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh, traders?
Which is in general, people, like a lot of people who feel that way, it's a high risk to do that, but they know it gives them a high reward. And
Correct.
everything, so,
But
Correct.
the difference between being you're a visionary with leadership ability to bring people along, to
Right.
believe in what your vision is.
Right.
And that, I think that'll be a difference between some one-off crazy ideas. I'll mention our president. He kind of has to have people follow him, like Space Force, for example. Great idea, sir. And we're going to have a Space Force. Whether it is a great idea, that's subjective as well. And Kanye, that's just a bad example. But the fine line is if you can bring people along as a leader to at least buy into it and try to prove out how something becomes something. Elon's done that, right? So he's a visionary and a leader to be able to do that. And that's different than also we were talking about management versus leadership, right?
Correct.
Telling people what to do, like a coach or whatever, is being a manager. And things that happen now, and I don't know if this is who Elon really is, but a lot of CEOs out there today talk about how being a manager or being a leader really depends on you're willing to hire people smarter than you. You're willing to have sometimes you put your ego aside. You're able to listen and listen to the people around you, and you're able to be empathetic, whether that's to people, your consumers, the customers, whoever it is, that with some variety in there.
Yeah, all of that's great. You got to add one more to that.
Yeah.
Servitude. Willing to serve. Servitude is the biggest thing, man, is when it comes to the type of leadership now. You know what I mean? So you're on
I feel like
man.
all of those have to fall under servitude. I think they all kind of, like listening to other people, that's kind of serving. Empathetic, that's totally serving. Hiring people who are smarter than you is almost like you're serving them in a way.
No ego about it. Yeah.
Right, no ego. So, but to go back to this, so I was thinking about this, like, so, I'm afraid with all the shit going on in my life right now. I'm afraid. I've also got, I feel like a clock ticking, which is not healthy to think about, because I've got some savings left. We're not earning an income. I took over this business and it was losing money. So I was like, should I close it or should I try and resuscitate it? And I've decided to resuscitate it, and we'll see how it goes, God willing. And so, but then I looked at Elon. I've been looking at him a lot. I'm like, yo, I'm scared about what's going on here, but like, look at that guy. I mean, that scares the shit out of me to think, he thinks that big and he's doing those kinds of things. So like, it helped me put my fear in perspective a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm scared here, but then I look at him, I'm like, that scares me even more. And so giving me this idea of a distinction between pressure and stress was a pretty big insight for me.
Oh, well, I'm glad I was able to help out and get you that for free. That's good.
Oh, really? You know
Next
we
one's
charge for
gonna
that?
cost.
That's the whole point of this podcast is for Amr to get free advice.
Oh my God, you've uncovered me, you sons of bitches. So all right. So True Mentor. So I think we got an idea. So wait, tell us a little more about True Mentor. So if a guy like me was to request membership into True Mentors,
absolutely.
how would that work?
So the way this is, it's a not-for-profit currently. One of the things that we appreciate is the fact that our mentors actually donate a bulk of we call it their income, or they donate the most in order to make it happen. But the one thing about mentorship that most people forget is the fact it's 4 reasons why True Mentors is, to me, as good as it is. One is because we're not time-bound, right? So most, you got to understand the type of people we have, but most relationships and mentorship programs, because we're not a program, we're a platform, right? Most programs have the end and starting point, right? So ours is extremely flexible, which is really good. People can come in and out as they choose as far as CEOs. The second piece is the fact that with most mentorship programs, it has a surface level amount of information. Ours is we get into the nitty gritty needs of what the mentor needs, or specifically what the mentee needs, right? 3, most programs are free. And with free comes a sense of entitlement. And for us, that's why we have the mentees invest.
Oh, you mean most non-True Mentors?
No,
programs are free.
Yeah, most programs
out there in the world are free.
Yes, most mentorship
True Mentors
programs
may not be.
True Mentors is not free. It's an investment. You're investing
both sides,
into yourself.
mentor, mentee, or just mentee?
The mentors donate the bulk of they donate money.
Wow.
Right? They donate because the type of mentors that we have are those that do at a minimum, $2 to $3 million in business to $250 million. Like if you look up
Damn.
YPO, like, Gary Raybon, he does 300 million. You know what I mean? So
In revenue?
in revenue and gross. Yeah. So
This
you
guy's
just got to
paving
remember
a lot of driveways.
so these are the type of C-level executives, these business leaders, these visionaries that we have. And because, they understand what we're doing and they want to give back to the right small businesses who want to invest into themselves, they're willing to donate to true mentors, which we appreciate. And then you have the mentees like Chris, like others that are mentees necessarily. They invest into themselves and it's a small amount. Right, we're talking about, basically easily, depending on what type of membership you get, you can get a premium or a VIP, but anything between $300 to $500 for the year.
Oh, for the year?
For the year.
Okay, that's pretty
right?
good.
That's extremely, it's extreme for the type of C levels you have. I mean, think about it. If you had Elon Musk, right, and he gave you an hour of his time.
Millions. Thousands. Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of $1,000s, he'll invoice you, right? These mentors don't pay anything. They don't charge anything because they want to invest into these businesses. Right, these small, but they want to make sure it's fertile soil. So that's what we've created for them. So that's the membership aspect. And like I said, because of that, we do, which I'm excited for you to come to one of our lunch and leadership so you can see how that works.
This Wednesday, baby.
Yep. So we have those. We do forums.
Dan, you're not welcome, though.
No, okay, thanks.
But we have forums as well, that's where it's a lot more the meat and potatoes of, like, let's say some pain points you may have that keeps you up at night. You get shared experiences from guest CEOs and peers of yours is in the same situation, which is already good. We do something called Inside the Boardroom, which is basically a tour of top elite CEOs where you get to see their company and how it looks and how the culture grew.
Oh, we all go and visit or something like that?
Correct.
Oh, nice.
And then you get 5 hours with this CEO.
No
So
shit.
it's 13, 14, 15.
The group does.
Yeah. 14,
but still,
15.
it's probably a joint kind of.
Absolutely.
Everyone asking the questions they want.
Building relationships. So guess what that does? It gives you a community of support, which goes back to what I said before.
Damn.
But not on. But and then it's people in the networks you didn't even think about.
Dan, you sure you want to be an entrepreneur after this, Dan?
I mean, I'm at a crossroads.
Would you ever consider being an entrepreneur, Dan?
Sure, I just need an idea. I was talking to Quinton about it. It's like I've never been one to have an I don't want to just like blanket statement say, you know what, I'm going to open another burger joint in Chicago.
No,
you
yeah,
know,
it doesn't make sense.
I don't really, I'm not saying I don't have ideas. I don't have ideas.
Hey, John, can you give me that sweatshirt back there on top of that box? Yeah. Thanks. But Dan, like I think of it as the following. Like, I feel like a lot of ad agencies are these Ogilvy and Mather kind of older, stodgier kind of thing. And it wouldn't shock me if smaller boutique kind of places, like 1, 2, 3-man shops who are like, yo, we specialize in this specific thing. I mean, you have 20 years, you know a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of your clients.
there are a couple individuals now that are actually trying to get me to maybe start doing that. And I
who are already running their own or no?
They're starting to. Well, they're discussing running their own and even building business plans on making that happen. And I've been like, I don't know. It just seems to me, is it in my nature? And maybe that's part of the exploration time now to see if it is in my nature. Maybe it does spark but because you have to be excited and want that to happen to be a part of your life. I mean, I'm going to invest capital, time,
right.
All of this that takes me away potentially from my family and where I'm at in my life. And is that what I want to do and be an entrepreneur or another corporate cog? And I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm gravitating towards more independent companies in some ways that are, not publicly traded because I've done that my entire career. It would be nice not to be beholden to each quarterly results and understand we did really well or really poorly and we're laying off 20 people,
Right.
Yep.
Be nice to be at a smaller shop. It could be in my future that I'm, starting with a smaller group that I build more equity in the company. But I don't know if the thing is that's tough is, what as I talked about earlier around how a lot of, even when I was mentioning around brands and things shifting to products and services and new ways of marketing, no one does it really well. They all have their plan for why they do it well or how they're moving in that direction. The bigger shops can't do it. Accenture, for example, bought a bunch of creative shops from a consultancy perspective to be more what they think
younger
this new space is.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to successfully do it just yet. My previous company, RGA, was one of the better examples of it. Talking about a mentor. I mean, he doesn't know it. I barely talked to the guy, but Rob Greenberg, who runs the shop, who owned the shop, he sees that this marketing communications world changes every 7 years. And where do we place the bets? And they have been one of the more profitable agencies and growing agencies within reason. They don't want to grow too fast in some ways, but they see that trend. They stay on top of that trend, and they're always like the top 1 through 5, 1 through 10 agency from whether it's agency of the year or digital agency of the year or whatever. They're always ahead of that trend.
It sounds like he's thinking dynamically. He's like, "Yo, we got to get ready to change."
That's right.
It's gonna change again.
That's right. I mean, he started as a movie effects company. Him and his brother back in the 70s. Like they did the special effects for like Alien and Superman and Ghostbusters and some of these movies in the early 80s. And then he shifted when getting to effects of commercials. So he started doing all kinds of brands in just the commercial space. Then digital, websites, all of that started. So it moved into that space.
Right.
And then it's shifted into a digital agency. And then, it moved into...
completely away from doing technical effects.
Completely.
And now he's doing content for media, but also just doing media in general.
And he's building products and services now for brands, in many ways.
All right, so you're okay. So you're at this crossroads. You're like, do I really want to be an independent kind of entrepreneur guy and make those commitments? Do I want to just go back to the corporate cog? What would you say to this?
Yeah, well, so as you were saying,
because you're seeing so many mentors and mentees talk about this.
So one of the things that and so if I was to think about if I was in your shoes before, right, or if I could think about some of the conversations that I've had, like one specific.
By the way, warning: he may invoice you for that.
No, this is free.
It's free. Not for the listeners. $9.99.
One of the times, one of the and I won't say the people's names, but the conversations that I could specifically remember. One specifically, and this C-level was talking to this specific startup and making some moves, making some things happen, but at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily what it was or what it wanted to be. And he had a conversation where it was like, what is your risk tolerance? And I was like, well, what are you referring to? And he was like, what are you referring to? And the guy was like, well, if you got to think about it like this, when you're 21, he's like, well, when I was 21 years old, I'm willing to do any and everything, however I need to do it, however I need to get it done. And you know what? I was okay with that because if I fell flat on my face, I stayed at my mom's house. You know what I mean? But when you're 29 and if you don't have any kids or anything like that, then, okay, you're willing to take relatively some type of risk because at the end of the day, wherever that bottom is, you're okay with it, right? But when you get older and you have kids and you have family that you got to provide, and especially for a man, the risk tolerance is not as great. So the question for my man right here, Dan, is, what is your risk tolerance? And his risk tolerance may be, well, you know what? I just want flexibility and work-life balance. And that's FYI, okay. Maybe entrepreneurship is not in his future only because the risk tolerance is really low. Because we know with entrepreneurship, high risk, low reward. We already know that. You know what I mean?
For real? Low reward?
I mean, think about it. How many people, like you, to me, to be honest with you, the one thing that entrepreneurship gives you is the opportunity to do what you want to do at the level that you want to do it. You're not really, and that's one of the major reasons. Yes, you're
not beholden to.
Right, but also you got to remember too, that comes with some type of ownership. So when everything sucks, is your fault. When everything is well, it's not because of you.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? So you got to understand it gives you a different perspective of just life. But crazy people change the world and entrepreneurs are crazy.
Right.
You know what's interesting? I just go back, not to make this psychological, but go back to when I was a boy, right? So my dad, as far as risk management goes, blue collar, worked in tool and die trade, machine shops, where there were layoffs all the time, work is slow, but you get called back to those shops. Layoff these days are like, you're gone, right?
Yeah.
But like layoffs would happen and we'd be, on a lower budget, right? And so living this, a decent living, we were fine. But my dad was a bit of an entrepreneur. This is more sounds like comedy than it is real. Like he would try these businesses such as he had coin-operated televisions that were, before it was chains along the Indiana toll road, he had every truck stop with coin-operated televisions, 25 cents to watch 15 minutes of television.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it worked until we
awesome.
moved into digital, and we've got new TVs and all that. That's gone, right? And so it just died out over time,
Right.
made him some extra money. He went into concession stands, trailers that are towed behind the back of a truck. You go to fairs and festivals and auction
Baseball
sales,
games,
selling
whatever, yeah.
hot dogs and what have you.
He would just bust it out and start doing it.
Yeah, and it turns out they would buy more at the auction sales because they thought it was fun than they were probably making. But everybody needs food, but how much growth is in that? What Dad lacked was always he wanted that one that just makes him his $1 million or $5 million,
The home
and
run.
and then he shuts down, right? And the thing with every business too is like, okay, that seeded my risk tolerance to be fairly low, especially Dad's day-to-day blue collar job. And then you want to just pull back on that and just be
Why did that seed your risk tolerance to be generally low?
I'm seeing that as a boy that, look, with the work that he does, I think there's always a cautionary position of, make sure you got savings, make sure you're not, taking jobs that are risky. Maybe starting a business is a risk that, could have high loss. It's a big risk there.
And then you probably had, was it times where you probably, I don't know what it was for me, but it was the times where probably you only had this type of thing you can eat, or you couldn't do such and such.
Sure,
So you gotta that's an emotional aspect of, I already know what's going to happen down this road, and I don't want to go back to that.
That's
if
right.
I decide to go into entrepreneurship.
Oh, meaning like, I just make sure I understand. You're
emotional
saying
awareness.
because he's become aware as a kid when things do get tricky or budgeted or tough, meals were harder or
Yeah, absolutely.
what
And
you
he don't
ate.
want his kids to go through that.
That's right.
I
And then
got you.
if my dad would have just quit his job and went as an entrepreneur, maybe I would have that more of that spirit of adventure in that. But I think it was always like a little bit of a safety net was always the job, right? So I've always been more of a safe player.
Got it.
But then you think about the way companies, and we see this, the popular examples are Netflix, not Netflix, sorry, Blockbuster, all the video stores. My dad wasn't a visionary to be open to change. Every industry changes. How are you getting
Right.
ahead of the change and changing your company
Boom.
and business? And if you don't, the Netflix comes in, Redbox for crying out loud,
For
but
real.
basically put them out of business. So that's where you got to be a little bit more ahead of that. And I didn't have that awareness till probably age 30.
Same here.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's really
It's
true.
still dawning on me more every
And-
day.
Yeah.
So guess what you need, my friend?
Uh-oh, here we go.
I need a mentor.
Bingo! 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 Exactly.
That's right, and that's right, because that reshapes your perspective. Yeah, with me and my dad. My dad, God rest his soul. I love my dad. That's his chef jacket right there. I refuse to get rid of it. I don't know what.
Oh.
This is a good man. And he's a salt of the earth kind of guy. All the customers love him. So generous. Always go down to the dining room, just give everyone free food. Just like, here's some free falafel and hummus and whatever. And so I used to watch him, and every time I'd introduce some idea of new thing, Dad, we should do at the restaurant, or new technology piece, or he's like, no, don't do it. The biggest thing was marketing and advertising. My dad did not believe in marketing and advertising at
He should
all.
have talked to you.
Yeah.
He did. Whenever I would bring, Dad, let's pay $2,000. We'll get this person and we'll do these ads and run. He's like, get out of my face! I'm not spending $2,000. How am I gonna know? How do we know it's gonna come back to us? We're just throwing $2,000 in the air in the wind. I'm like, Dad, I don't think so. People gotta know your name, But it just never, refused to. And so the reality of advertising, that was a change in the economy, right? That we realized, oh shit, advertising is a big thing in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And so people had to change the way they think about business, And so he just resisted all that. And so for me, I think similar to you, I grew up questioning marketing and advertising. Anytime I'd bring something new, he'd resist it. And so I myself have to sit down with myself and Amr, this change is good. It's really happening. The internet is a real thing. You need to start doing stuff on social media and so on and so forth. And it's been sometimes it's I'm fighting a battle just to convince myself to do some of that stuff because I saw Dad,
Well, the one thing is much more now, accountability is huge, right? So if you're spending a small business owner, putting money out into the wind, you're going to see it by you've got butts and seats and they're eating your food, right? It just, you see revenue growth month over month. That's about the only way to do it, right? You know, in my industry, accountability is huge. There's many barriers to finding measurement, you know, and analytics to support what you're putting out there. And it's, even in this digital age, still tough to do with a lot of companies. But then you've got like the dreamers that are like the Googles of the world, Amazon, that, you know, they found like my dad's dream of 1 million, you know, gigantic ideas, and they can be more, but pontificate more and allow their employees to, you know, think more high level and innovate because they a bit of a nest egg to be able to do that, right?
Yeah. Right.
So there's some margin for taking those chances with a lot of companies. You know, I'd say the ad agency business, they want to innovate, but they can't because it's about client revenue. How much do we have? And you can only, you know, there's a ceiling for that where you have to take risk and you have to spend some of that to make it back in innovation.
Right.
They don't do that.
No.
When you're like Google, you've got a lot of people that just say, what if? And if it doesn't work, fine. You know why? Because
we make billions
we got,
anyway.
it's
Excess.
fun. So I think their
whole business model, some of those companies like Google and Amazon, it's like the R&D is the heart of our whole thing. We experiment. That's the central.
The risk tolerance thing, though, is huge, because risk tolerance, we all have, without knowing
Everybody's
risk
different.
tolerance, we all have it individually. And certainly me being a part of, you know, larger corporations, I'm like, we got to spend. And I don't really know what's behind the books at the corporate level, at the investor level, and all of that. Here's where you can get some money. I don't do that to figure it out, but just I'll push and say we got to spend. But, you know, there's risk tolerance there that the whole company would have, right?
Risk tolerance changes over time too with life experiences. It's kind of a rubber band,
It should.
right? I would think so.
It should.
So how would you answer his question?
What my risk tolerance is?
Well, you
Low.
don't have to answer it.
I've answered it
Right.
low.
But I mean, it just makes it, when you say entrepreneurship, he's like, I mean, you know, I think I'm blessed to have emotional awareness. Like, I'm big about just understand I could put myself in someone else's shoes and just understand where they're at. And I can do that within a 5-minute conversation with somebody. And it makes sense, you know. I mean, you're 34, but like, it's, you know, it's just at the same time too, you have people you have to take care of. And it's just, is he willing to take the risk and put them through what he said he went through when he was young? And
Right.
I think but when you find a medium that he's looking for, right?
I think there's also, I mean, that's a great point. It should be like an elastic, you know, or rubber band or something like that, because, you know, now I can take some risks to try something different and new.
Right.
And maybe that's a stepping stone to entrepreneurial tendencies. You know, maybe the next risk will be, I'm really stretching myself, right? So it does feel like a nice stepping stone right now. And I think it's possible.
You're saying, if I understand you correctly, you're saying, all right, so fine, maybe I don't go back to the corporate public company advertising agency. Maybe I do go to the smaller independent, there's 8 of us, and that's a stepping stone. You still work for a, you know, CEO or someone. And maybe down the road, you might one day yourself be like, actually, I'm going to take a stab at this myself.
As my dad always says, Colonel Sanders was in his 70s when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That is true.
So
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still hope. We don't, you know,
Still hope.
I can, you know, make a mean.
We talk about entrepreneurship as if it's like the Holy Land, or like the what they call like the Promised Land.
Yeah. Well,
You
you said something else too earlier. I was like, you said the right word, bro. And you said excitement. I'm looking for something that's going to excite me, and which is way better than passion. Passion and excitement is not the same thing. So the fact that, you know, you're looking for something that's going to excite you, to me, that right there is what you need, because you need to wake up every day and kind of to make sure you're able to do that.
Yeah, a lot of jobs are just jobs, but a lot of times I work for companies where you love the people. And you can wake up every day and go to work and just love the people you work with, and it'd be like, yeah, these clients are bozos, but man, we have a great team, you know? And
That's true.
So you can be excited about a lot of different things. It would be great if passions were also filled with excitement too, you know? And the excitement can go out of the passions you work for, and passions can die.
Most entrepreneurs lose because they follow their passion.
Okay, no, wait. I'm going to call you out on that.
Then I am going to open a burger joint. That would be great.
All right. So Gary Rabine.
Yeah.
All right. These were your words. I wrote them down here. He has a passion to pave driveways.
Right.
Those were your words.
Yeah, it was.
Tell me why this brother didn't fail, given his passion for paving driveways.
Absolutely. Reason being is because you got to know where passion lies in the success aspect of achievement. See, most people think passion.
I have no idea where it lies.
Yeah, well, so most people think passion is in the beginning. Actually, passion is when you're almost there. Good example, right? Well, here's how you just said it. Passion is an emotion, right? So when you follow passion like you follow emotions, like let me ask you a question. Would you be with a girl who loves you one time and then she doesn't love you the second because of something? She's mad at you at one time and then she's crying for whatever reason. What is that? That's schizophrenic, right?
This explains your whole relationship shit, John. Picking the wrong women,
That's
brother.
why I'm always single.
So, but it's the exact same thing. When people follow passion, passion is a feeling, is an emotion. How many people have you heard, well, I need to do something. I'm going to do something when I'm passionate about it. Then you're never going to do it.
That's right.
Right? So the thing is, you got to find something that you're excited about. Good example, right? If I was to say to you, Dan, you know what? I'll pay you $750,000 to pick up poop. Would you pick up poop?
I do it all the time.
He'll do it all the time. Because now it's not because of the poop. He's excited because of what the poop offers him, which is a $750,000 for him to do what he needs to do. Right? So therefore, to me, do something. How do you want to live? That's the first question.
Yep.
And when you find out how you want to live, find something that you're excited about doing. And when you're excited about it, over time, here's what's going to end up happening. As you start seeing success, you're passionate about it because you're so close to what your success is.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
So because of that, that's the passion and excitement is not one and the same. And a lot of people think it is. That's why when people say excitement, when they say passion, like, do you mean you're excited about it or are you passionate about it? And they're like, what are you talking about? Because passion is a feeling. And I always tell entrepreneurs, you got to divorce your feelings. Don't do what feels good, do what produces good.
Well, passion, that's so interesting because like a lot of things, since it is, sort of emotional, it's, I could say I've had a lot of passions in my life that have died out, right? I mean, I used to love tennis, played tennis all the time. And then when I realized I'm not going to be on the tour, it starts to die out, right?
So you're saying as you got closer to the end goal of being, apparently you had a subconscious be on the tour goal, and you're like, oh wait, that's not going to happen. Passion goes down.
I mean, yeah, like I played Division III tennis. I mean,
I'm not
going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So by my last conference tournament, I was like in the closet, shut the door, see you never. Passionate about like I love the Indianapolis. We were talking about the Indianapolis Colts. I loved the Colts forever, and then one day it switches where it's like, look at that 58-year-old man in the stand. Painted his face and he's out there and he's screaming and his Miller Lite's all over and I'm like, that's sad. So my passion changes, and so now what's scary, and maybe you're feeling this too, Amr, is, it gets scary to think about, I don't know where my passions are,
But that's
they
okay.
shift. And
It is bizarre, isn't it? Why would it's scary?
But that's okay.
It's almost existential.
It is. And so it's like, boy, I really wish something really riled me up. And I'd be like, I'm going to join that society or that association or whatever. And I want to give all my extra time to it and all of that. And it's like right now, it's sort of like I clean up poop from the dogs and my baby. And
Totally.
I don't get extra money for that. So
totally.
Anyway,
but you got to find out what are you excited about. That's really what it is.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's a different, to me anyway, that's just helped me stay centered, right?
Well, Dan, are you excited about improv?
More so now. I mean, I think there have been ebbs and flows in that where it's times just going to walk away.
Yeah, same here.
Or, I'm getting excited about where we're at. So,
Same here.
But it's not passionate because I feel like you get excited and I feel like it's a passion when I'm like auditioning for anything and I'm doing it, and it really comes from a true sense of who I, it's a part of me and I'm out there and put myself out there no matter the level of success. Right. And when it feels less successful, the passion, if it was really, or it's more the excitement goes down.
So excitement is one thing. Passion is another thing. And passion shows up often later in the journey, is what you're saying.
Because he just said it. It doesn't matter what happens. You're so you're obsessed, right? So when you're obsessed, like think about it. Well, we just talked about it, right? Elon, your boy, he was passionate about Tesla. So he was willing to put everything, even his kids, on the line for it.
He did.
Right? So why is that? Because he's passionate, because he believes it's going to do X, Y, and Z. So that's an obsession. That's not a commitment.
Do you think that's do you think that's
Yes, it is irresponsible.
You do?
Yeah.
And do you think it's what?
Pay it off.
No, I mean, it's irresponsible, but it's a risk. And visionaries and leaders are willing to take risk, right? I mean, it goes back to everything we talked about earlier, right? But his passion is definitely in what he's doing.
Damn, I didn't see that.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs are just committed.
Okay, so wait, let me just make sure I get this straight, and then we should wrap up here soon. So you're saying Elon put everything at risk, not just capital, which is often what I look at, just capital. You're like, no, Amr, he put his kids on the line too.
Mm-hmm.
His relationship with his kids, supporting his kids, financing their lives, all that has been put on the line. And he's willing to lose all that. Now, I myself was previously married. I got married at 23. I then got divorced at 29, and it was bumpy. We were together even for 3 years before that, so I knew her for like almost 10 years. And parted ways. But as I look back on it now, I was on Wall Street. I was at JP Morgan. I got to the executive director level in my 20s, and I was working towards a goal. I had a financial goal of like, let's say, $1 million. And I was working towards that goal. And I saw that as like, that'll get me to a new frontier, the promised land. And I was passionate about that goal. Now, truth be told, when I reached it, I was like, fuck this. This was not the right goal for me. It just didn't work. I wanted to leave the business. But along the journey, right, I think my ex-wife, was impacted by some of the choices I was making to reach that goal.
Right.
I was doing a lot of client entertainment. I was reading a lot about the markets. I would have my finger on the pulse of what's going on with all the new. And this is why I feel comfortable with business news and other shit. Because I just did so much of that. And not gonna lie, like anniversaries, birthdays here and there, it was not perfect. I was in my 20s. I also had my head up my ass, what relationships were. So a whole bunch of things came together. But I now see that I took a risk, and it wasn't just with my own life, it was with everyone around me. And that's happening here too now that I think about it, with my wife and kids. And I'm ultra focused on like, yo, Amr, what's your long-term strategy with your family? I don't want the same thing to happen. And so I'm trying to balance now risk tolerance. Yep. It's not just capital. It's also like my daughter looking at me saying, I want that princess dress. And I'll be like, what am I saying? Honey, I don't have money for it. Like that breaks my heart right now saying that.
Yeah.
So I didn't see it that way, that Elon put his kids at risk too.
Yeah.
Or at least his relationship with his kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, every action has a reaction, and here's the thing. My wife is I met her at 19 and she's now 31. So we've known each other for it's coming on 13 years, right? And I'll give you this. This is what Gary gave me, right? When I was talking, because I was just looking into getting married. I got married late. I mean, I won't say late. We got married at the right time, right? It was, we've been in it for 3 years now. So, and the one thing he says is two things that, most couples wish that they should have done. And I think this is with business as well. One is communication. The more communication you have, overly communicate, if she marries you, she's going to go with you wherever, as long as communication is there. And I believe Elon probably does a lot of that. But I think the one thing that I know that I've done well with all of the craziness that I have is I check the engine light. And I remember him telling me that, Quinton, you check the engine light. When that engine light goes on, everything else pauses, because nothing is more important than your family. And because to me, the reason why I'm in existence is because my goal is, the reason I'm here on life is to influence 1 billion people, yes, but it's to bring my wife and my son back to Jesus Christ.
Did you say to influence 1 billion people?
Yep, it's to influence 1 billion people.
Okay.
But it's also to take me and my wife.
Pretty small goal there, Quinton.
Well, I said, yeah, it could be, but that's what God put on my heart. That reminds me of a book I'm reading. But so no, get to the second one. But it's also to what with your wife? Oh, to her and my son to get back to Jesus Christ, to take them to heaven. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure that, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do to make sure that happens. And
so you keep your eye on that ball.
Check the engine light all the time, man.
Right.
When the engine light is on, everything else pauses, because that's what you need.
And do you believe, so that resonates with me. So a big part of my life is my faith. I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
And my whole thing about being Muslim is like, about being with God, meeting God, knowing God. That's like the whole
Mhm.
purpose of being Muslim. Your job is you come in this world to know God,
Right.
and it's another way to say it's to worship God.
Right.
So servitude.
Right.
But how do I want to say this? Do you believe let's say you get closer to your final destination, right? Which in this world is, let's say, death.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe your passion for that will increase?
Passion for death.
No, passion for
Oh, I'm about to say.
Depends on the illness.
give me some death.
I need to go.
Come on, God. No, passion for reaching the goal.
Oh,
of,
yeah.
of getting to
so
Jesus
the reason
Christ.
why it's 1 billion is you mean that aspect of it, right? The 1 billion, or is that what you're
No,
referring to?
I'm saying you have a goal
Yeah,
of
yeah.
getting you, your wife, and your child
Yeah.
to Jesus Christ.
Correct.
That's your goal. That's
Yeah.
your. And I understood you as
Take them back to heaven. Absolutely.
take him back to heaven. Thank you. On that, there's a journey there.
Correct.
As you get closer to that journey,
Yeah.
which is end of life,
Right.
would you expect to get more passionate?
I think
about
I
it?
would reflect. So the reason why, like for me, right, I think that's a never-ending goal because you never really, and I'm not there yet. I mean, I'm not 65, 80, 90, whenever that time comes, right? But I lived in the moment. So my moment now is, am I doing stuff morally that I need to do? So that's the foundation for them. Am I giving them the love, the agape love that they're supposed to receive? So they can,
Agape?
agape is unconditional regardless.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, am I doing all of these things that they can say whenever I leave, like Kobe, right?
God rest his soul.
Yeah, but what did he leave?
his
He
daughter.
left a legacy, right? But you can never say that now that you can never say like this, right? Even though as difficult time it's going to be for his wife, did he make sure she's taking, like, she never has to go back to work? Granted, she has a lot that she's going to have to take care of, but she's never have to worry about money. She can never say that she didn't feel loved. She can never like anything, right? So you never know when your time is here leaving, right? But the question is, when that happens, do the people that's closest to you, they have a moral compass? And I think you agree with that. And if that answer for me is yes, I know I did what I was supposed to do.
And I think that's part of the exploration I'm going through now.
Yeah.
Is like we get so self-centered, and I've gotten very far away from my faith in ways that, like, was weekly churchgoer or things that nature. I'm big into service and giving back, not only giving back to the community, but living by example and how you can show that Christian faith, what have you. And it's mostly gone away because we get a newborn and you're married and you got a house and your job and you're just self-involved. So now it's part of the exploration is, can my future employer help me do that? Can I find that avenue on my own with the other activities that I have? And maybe they should take a back seat to giving back. So that's been a deep, thing I've been thinking about. And how do I support my family in the same way as far as being a spiritual leader in the house and that sort of thing? So a lot to think about there that's absent.
The one thing I've noticed a lot of people don't have, like, you have a mission statement for your business, right? A lot of people don't have a mission statement for their life.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you had a mission statement for your life, you'll know exactly the route that you want to go and what you should do. And I do. And that's the reason why I have the numbers that I have and all that other stuff.
Is your mission to get your family to heaven?
Yeah, so my full mission is basically, to basically help at a minimum 1 billion people by creating vehicles that are bigger than me, helping them personally, financially, and spiritually, ultimately giving God all the glory. And that's my mission statement.
I do a men's group therapy thing, and the mission I wrote, I had my original mission, I've changed it. Now my mission is I create a world of love and trust, unconditional love. I create a world of unconditional love and trust around me through creative conflict. So I actually look for conflict and try and work it so that we all walk away with unconditional love and trust.
So therefore, you should be good in all this stuff you got going on there. All
Should
of
be
this.
what? Should be what?
You're good with it. The pressure. The pressure.
Yeah.
This is conflict. This is conflict.
This is core to your mission.
Now
gotta
get
change my
creative,
mission.
my
There you
friend.
go. You're that. But you know what? Company mission statements change, and I'm sure as we grow as people, those change and shift a little bit
Absolutely.
too, right?
Yeah.
So
They do.
I just need to write one down.
That's
Maybe
wisdom.
that's how I'll spend
That's
the
wisdom
afternoon.
right there.
There you
man.
go.
I'll
Okay,
start
guys,
quick.
we got to wrap up here. Quinton James, thank you so much
No,
for coming on, my
appreciate it,
man.
Thank you so much.
Dan Baker,
Absolutely.
JD,
Always a pleasure.
my man. Thank y'all for listening. Peace.
Peace out.
See you later.